was walking through the airport, it smelled like home.
Smelled like home because they have Skyline Chili at the airport now, so that might have been what you smelled.
The first thing she says is, "He ain't here. If you coming in here to see Marshawn, he is not here. That boy will never come."
A very pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special live edition of the Let's Rain podcast. We are live at Rheingeist, the Rheingeist tap room here in Over the Rhine. Rheingeist, of course, the brewer of Cincy Light, the greatest beverage ever made. And Cincinnati's light beer. I'm your host, Dan Horde. I could not be more excited to introduce our first guest on the podcast tonight. He was a first-team All-American in 2014. He is the second leading scorer in UC basketball history, and this weekend he will be inducted into the UC Athletics Hall of Fame. Let's hear it for number 23, Sean Kilpatrick.
Thank you.
SK, welcome home. Does this feel like home?
Yeah, I said this the other day to my best friend. When I was walking through the airport, it smelled like home. I was like, yo, I could smell it, like I could taste it, like it's something about Cincinnati that, like I said, this is home for me. I'll always be here.
Well, it smelled like home because they have Skyline Chili at the airport now, so that might have been what you smelled.
True.
You have played all over the world professionally. How often did people say, go Bearcats, or SK, I recognize you from UC?
It's funny. I seen an actual poster. Like somebody had a poster in Israel. Once I seen that, I was like, we doing something.
All right, let's turn the clock back to the very beginning. Mm-hmm. You grew up in Yonkers, New York.
Correct.
Played high school basketball in White Plains, New York, near New York City, and then spent a year at a prep school in Massachusetts. How did you wind up here?
I went prep. I graduated high school, went prep, and then in prep school, I actually verbally committed to St. John's. Once my mom got a hold of that, she was like, "You're not staying in New York. You're getting out of here." So
she did not want you to stay home.
She didn't want me to stay home. I wanted to. It was clear. I was like, I'm going to St. John's, but she didn't want me to stay home because there's so much going on in New York, and it's so hard to basically stay focused. Queens is not far from where I was actually at or from. So it was like 9 times out of 10, my friends is going to be there, everything. I wasn't going to even have no type of focus. So I was like, you know what, I'm a decommit. I'll do that. And then I ended up opening up everything and going to prep school. And then, it was kind of like, Scott, when I was in Massachusetts, when Coach Cronin came to visit me, our school was a house. It wasn't even a school. It was like a big mansion. So every room that was actually on the inside the mansion, it was a classroom. So Coach came and he was driving by. He was driving on South Street, and then he called. He was like, "I can't find the school. I don't know."
He's looking for a school building, and this is a house.
And then I had to go outside. I was like, "Coach, I'm right here." And then he ended up coming. He parked the car, went inside the practice facility where we was practicing at. After that, he was like, "You know what? I want to get you on a visit." And sky was the limit from there. That's pretty much what I seen. Cincinnati from then on. That was my real official visit. I didn't take a visit to St. John's. Ended up just verbally committing because it was Queens. So I was just like, you know what? Cincinnati was going to be my first real visit, and that's what happened from there.
You and Mick obviously had a tremendous relationship.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you two guys click so well together?
It's crazy. When I first came in, there was a lot of things that, especially within my life, that I've went through that Mick, he kind of basically seen, or we had conversations about it, but it was so easy, I guess, for him to gravitate towards me because it was some of the things that he actually went through as well. He was the underdog all his life. I mean, he was somebody that pretty much, I mean, for half of his life, he would tell me he was counted out. And I mean, I think that was something that he seen in me from the jump. I mean, I was just somebody that was always hungry and really somebody that was always willing to get better. It didn't matter what it was. And I think once Mick, he honestly seen I got a player that's somewhat like me, but also he'll run through a wall for me. I mean, that's something that I think would take a like with any coach.
Somewhat like him, but taller.
Yes. Yup, absolutely.
So you were in the same recruiting class as Lance Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys knew each other, being from the New York area. Do we have you to thank in any way for Lance coming here for that 1 year?
Yeah. It's crazy because when Lance first got here, we had it was like an all-star game in my neighborhood. Lance ended up driving from Coney Island all the way to White Plains, and we ended up playing against each other with a couple other stars that was in our area at that time. Kemba, you had a whole bunch of guys. So after the game, I asked him, I was like, yo, what you gonna do with school? He like, I don't know. I said, yo, you gotta
good Lance,
yeah. I said, you gotta take some visits, like, and figure it out. I was already committed to Cincinnati, so I knew where I was going. I say he took one visit, I think, to Maryland, and then on his visit here, we went to Yancey's house. We had him in the living room. Yo, you gotta figure it out. What you doing? Put the pressure on him, and he was like, you know what? I'm coming here. So I say about 2 weeks later after that, Mick told us that he was coming, and then it was good riddance from there.
So you guys were roommates.
Yes.
His 1 year at UC, and we saw some of the crazy things that he went on to do in the NBA, blowing in LeBron's ear, and some of his interesting antics. What was he like as a roomie that 1 year? It's a podcast. You can say anything.
Yeah, the greatest thing about Lance is that he was clean. It wasn't like I had to worry about somebody like being out of order or nothing like that. But
you didn't want to slob.
But he his stories is like, it's like you can wake up in the morning 6, 7 in the morning. He's already up. He's moving around. His mind was different in terms of, like, he knew he wanted to be a pro from the jump, but it was a blessing for me to see it and a blessing for me to actually be in it, like you said, because we was roommates. So it was the feeling like of just being in a room and being able to have that type of that basketball either knowledge or the basketball skill around me and being able to watch it. I mean, I'm sitting out that year. So I was looking at it and being able to really watch and see how he approached the game, like how the type of energy he played with in terms of his fierceness. Like he was a bull in terms of playing here. So I mean, I was able to see that. I was able to be around that on top of all the other players that we had, like the great players that we had. So I mean, it was amazing, man. It was amazing.
So I remember going to practices that year. As you said, you redshirted. Every practice for you that year was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. I mean, guys at Cincinnati practice hard. Yeah. But for you, it was a game. Every day. That's true.
When I redshirted, I was getting a haircut when Coach told me that I was going to end up redshirting. I was like, what? Like, I just sat out at prep school. Now I got to come here to Cincinnati and sit out again. Realistically, I should have been here in 08, 09. But I got to sit out and, Coach, you bugging. I'm about to leave. I got to go home. So I called my mom. My mom tells me, you got to trust Coach. I mean, he obviously knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for years. Like, you got to have some type of patience and trust what he's doing. So after a couple of days, I sat back. I was like, you know what, Coach, I'll go through it. But one thing he told me when I walked in that office, he was like, now the thing is, with you not playing, don't think I'm not going to be on your tail. Like, I'm going to be on you. And the reason why is because you have to use this year to get better. So every practice for me, like you said, was Game 7. And I looked at it like the more we have more practices than games. So the more I continue to keep going crazy, it will feel like, or in practice that is, it'll feel like I had 2 years of just playing basketball and with games and everything, but I just had practice. So it was amazing for me. I mean, when I sat back and looked back at it, I was like, yo, Coach saved my life with that move. He saved me with that move, yeah.
So the next year, it was on.
Yeah.
And you went on to have a phenomenal 4-year career at UC. It's impossible to reminisce about all of the great games and all of the great moments, but I've written down a few. So are you ready to reminisce?
Yes.
All right, let's start with your second year playing. Big East Tournament semifinals against Syracuse, my alma mater.
Yes.
They're 31-1, ranked second in the country. Nobody thought you had a chance. Mm-hmm. You made 6 threes, 5 assists, 5 steals.
Wow.
Serious defense in that game.
You just got me chills with that. Wow. What? Yeah, that's.
And you beat Syracuse 71-68 to go to the Big East Tournament championship game. When I mentioned that game, what do you remember?
I mean, it was in the Garden. I mean, I think the crazy thing is, I mean, I don't even really remember the crazy shots or the threes or nothing like that, but I do remember Justin catching that dunk at the end to seal it. Yeah. I mean, but that game, I mean, it was so, you know how the Big East was at that time. Every night it was a war. So to be able to do that, especially against Syracuse, I mean, they was the top of the Big East at that time. They was, anywhere you looked, it was either 6, 8 and up, including even the point guards at that time. So it was unreal. But I mean, to be able to get that win inside the Garden, I mean, at home against Syracuse, I mean, I always had kind of something with them anyway. They never recruited me. So it was like why not even do it? So,
I'm withholding my alumni contributions because they weren't smart enough to recruit you. You went on to the Big East Tournament championship game against Louisville. Russ Smith is here tonight. Cardinal legend. That was a disappointing loss, but an incredible experience to play in a Big East Tournament championship game back then in the Garden.
Back then. Yeah, it was. And I mean, the greatest thing I would say, especially about being in the Big East, you see one of your friends or a close friend of yours every night. Russ, I mean, I've had the luxury to play against Russ for 4 years, and then after that, be basically teammates with him in the D League and do all the other extras. So when you're in the Big East, I mean, you pretty much form relationships that can never even really be even broken. I mean, that conference at that time, it was something that, especially the guys that played in it, when you look at a guy or you've seen a guy and he played in the Big East with you, we be like, yo, it's that real Big East. And they be like, it's a respect thing. When you go through those type of trenches, it's a respect thing.
All right, next game on my list, January 2012, 3-point buzzer beater at UConn. They came down and hit a 3 to tie the game.
Yeah.
UC inbounds it to you, and basically you take over.
I honestly thought Coach was going to call a timeout. He had, I think he had 2 or 3 timeouts left, and the crazy thing is, Shabazz hit the shot, and everything went it went black. Yeah. The whole arena went crazy. Like I could barely hear.
With blinders almost.
So I thought Cash or one of them was going to go to get the ball. I seen nobody breaking to get I was just like, let me just go grab it. I thought Coach, once I grabbed it, was going to call timeout. He just let it go. I was like, no way. And then I just seen a little bit of daylight. I mean, Jeremy Lamb at that time, he was playing back, but Shabazz was coming towards my left. I thought, honestly, that I was going to get fouled or I was just going to miss it. But when it went in, I said, oh, shit. I was like, no. And I didn't really, when it went in, I didn't feel it until Yancey pushed me. And I snapped out of it. I was like, oh, and everybody was going crazy on the bench. So that shot was, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest shots of my life.
I think you told me after the game you had never made a game-winning buzzer beater
ever
in a real game before.
Never. Yeah, so that to have it on a stage like that, on top of that, and stores in Connecticut. I mean, it was monumental for sure.
All right, January of 2013, you scored a career-high 36 against Marquette, including a game-winning lefty bank shot at the end of overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, to combine your career scoring high with that finish, that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, that was another game. I think what happened when I was even dribbling it down, what I can remember was the floor shaking. Like I seen the whole, the fans, they was like, they was going crazy, but the whole floor was shaking. That was probably one of the best games as well. That was crazy, that game.
All right, let's move to senior day. We're jumping ahead. Senior day versus Memphis. You come out for the pregame hug. Tears are flowing down your face. Yeah. Started poorly. Oscar's sitting in the courtside seat. By the end of the day, 34 points in a win over Memphis. That's one of those Hollywood scripts. They don't always work out that way, but in your case it did.
Yeah. I think, it goes back to what you say, even with the tears. I came to grips. I think when, for one, the round of applause, from the crowd was ridiculous. They've literally watched me grow from a pup in terms of the basketball game into a man at that point. But it was pretty much over. Like the night before, even Justin was my roommate because Coach always made sure that we was staying in the hotel the night before games. He was like, I'm not having it. Y'all don't know how to go to sleep. Y'all going in the hotels before games. So we ended up going in but the night before the game, it was like me and Jack, we sat up, and it was like it was different. Like it felt like literally like it was ending. Like, so before the game, we all obviously knew that we wanted to play well, but I think that was what messed us up at the beginning a little bit. Everyone was so eager to do well and win for the seniors that it was like everyone was on different type of eggshells. But once everything started getting better and started kicking in, as you've seen, it got crazy.
Speaking of Justin Jackson with the famous mean face, he's coming to town for your Hall of Fame induction. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. It's funny, Jack just moved from Florida to Columbus, so he'll be here a lot more in terms of in our area. But he said, what was his exact word? You my dog. I'll never miss this for the world. you my dog. So to see him, Titus, I heard is coming back as well. So to see those guys, it'll be amazing. It'll be good.
Quite the who's who. That's great. So after this incredible college career at UC, first team All-American, obviously league honors multiple times, you weren't drafted. Were you disappointed or were you pissed?
I'll say pissed. That night on draft night, we was in Manhattan we was at a bar. It was called Calico Jack's. My dad, he used to be a bodyguard there. He was a bouncer there. So he was able to get us the section and everything, and everything was cool. So the draft is going on. The first round went by. Mind you, now at this time, he can tell you, he's here. All Americans are supposed to get drafted. That means you're one of the 5 best players in the world, I guess, at that, or in college at that time. Right. So for it with draft night, what had happened in that night, I want to say after the first round and then leading into like the 40th pick, everything just blacked out and I left. I was like, I'm not sitting through this. Like, it's crazy. So I ended up going back to White Plains. Of course, cried. I was going crazy in the car because I didn't understand it. It was more of a confused thing. But I told, my mom, she tells me on the way home, she's on the phone, she's like, why are you so upset though? Like, this isn't the first time that you even had to hit any type of adversity or anything like that. And it didn't like that's when it really hit me like, man, she's right. I just found out, well, at this time I had to get my meniscus scoped, red shirt, Notre Dame prep. It's like you've been through so many obstacles. This is nothing. You just get over it. So we ended up going into the D League. I told my agent, I said, I'm so pissed off. Don't be surprised if I get called up within the first 20 to 15 games. He was like, what? Like, because they don't, I guess, not saying that he didn't believe in it, but he didn't see that before. And I ended up getting a call up like within the 10th or 11 games. So I was like, it's there. Like, in terms of getting in there, is there. Now it's just a matter of continuously getting better within being a pro. Like, and then after that, it was pretty much it.
Well, here's what I like. Instead of being broken by this, you turned it into a business.
A business, yes.
You've got your undrafted gear on tonight. Yes. I have an undrafted hat at home. It's tremendous gear. I assume it's sold really well because it's very stylish stuff.
For sure. Yeah, and it and undrafted, it doesn't only speak to just the basketball part of everything. It's also about life. I mean, everyone or everyone especially in this day and age, we're going through so much that there's always going to be either some type of obstacles or any type of undrafted feeling moment to where you need something to either uplift you or even get you through that. So undrafted is really a lifestyle. It's really a lifestyle for real. And I embraced it, and the fact that everyone throughout who support the brand, they embraced it, that's a win for me.
Here's an opportunity to give a little plug. Where can people find their undrafted gear?
You can find your undrafted gear at undraftedshop.com. We have sizes small to 3XL, so everybody is basically accommodated for. And I think the greatest thing about the brand is that everything is a reasonable price. The material on everything is great. I mean, you ain't gonna be able to really find crazy sweatsuits for $75 anywhere right now. So, and I think that's what I wanted to do with the brand, was cater to the people so everyone is able to wear it.
I've gotten a lot of compliments on my winter hat, my undrafted winter hat over the years. So you spent 4 years in the NBA. You played for 6 different teams, and I was a stalker. I think I saw you in action for each of those teams. Anytime it was anywhere close to Cincinnati,
that's true,
I would go to see you play, and you did well. You averaged double digits for your NBA career. You had 38 points in a game for the Brooklyn Nets. I know you would have liked it to last longer and make, many millions of dollars. Yeah. But do you feel like, if nothing else, you proved you could play in the NBA?
Yeah, I think so. And I think what stamped it enough for me was that my peers respected me, like as a player, and my coaches, they respected me as a player. But most importantly, I got a lot of respect from my peers. And I think when you're battling every day, all day, I mean, everyone who plays basketball knows how hard it is to get in the NBA. So if you're able to get inside there and then you have your peers respecting that, I mean, I made it. That's enough for me. I mean, I'm able to come back, tell you guys the stories about what happened, and I think that was my NBA. That's my draft for me. So that's good.
Who are a couple of your favorite NBA teammates?
Oh man, so in Brooklyn, Jeremy Lin was definitely one of my favorite.
You had Lin Sanity.
Yeah, I had Lin Sanity. I guess even with him, the undrafted thing, it clicked. I mean, we both went through the same exact path. He was somebody who went through the D League. He was underlooked. I mean, it just happened. Him, Isaiah Whitehead, I was so close to him because we're all in New York together. Damari Carroll, he was my OG. He pretty much guided me through when I was in Brooklyn. Luis Scola, he helped me a lot. He was a vet. He was older than everyone. So for him to be able to see that, it was good. The first NBA team that I was with when I got a call up, and this is a funny story, my vet was Kevin Garnett. So I ended up getting the call up I was in Delaware. They tell me I got to go to New York because I got the call up and we play the Knicks. So I'm speeding. I'm speeding from Delaware all the way to New York. I didn't even care if I got pulled over or not. They had to understand, like, this is my first time. Like, so when I got there, and then everyone was in the layup lines. But I had to still go through the locker room. Kevin Garnett was in the locker room. And he's like, he said, "You ready, young fella?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." He was like, "All right, then you got to show your worth. You better go out there." So I ran out there, and then that was pretty much the start of my NBA journey or the career for it. So my first NBA teammate that I've seen was Kevin Garnett. So that was
pretty good one to have as your first NBA teammate that you saw. Who was the toughest guy you ever had to try to guard?
I mean, LeBron is.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. LeBron. You know who was very tough, and it's crazy. Well, not really crazy, but James Harden. He was stronger than I even could have imagined. Like, I mean, those guys like Westbrook and all, they look so wiry, but they're so strong. They're fast. They got everything with them. So, I mean, but honestly, I think, LeBron's on another category of his own. Yeah, I would say James Harden probably was a tough guy at that time.
In the mortal category, James Harden. Well, I can see why, NBA scoring leader, so you weren't alone. So after your NBA career, you played all over the world, Greece, Turkey, Spain, China. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I hated being away from family. I mean, I'm so family oriented, especially with me and my daughters. I mean, it was crazy to be overseas for 11 out of the 12 months, and the only thing you have is either FaceTime calls or that's it. I mean, it was. But you know what it is. It does build character, in terms of how you need to be in the real life. I mean, in real life, but it's a. How do you put it? It's a gift and a curse. You're there to make money and basically continue to keep playing the game, but the curse, I guess, it comes with missing family, missing holidays. On holidays, you're working, you're playing, you're in the gym, you're sick. You might be 6 hours ahead of people, so when everyone else is asleep, you're still on a different time schedule. I mean, it was in terms of being overseas and adjusting to it. The first year, it was hard. And then everything started getting pretty easy.
So this weekend, you go into the UC Athletics Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. What was it like when you got the phone call?
So our AD call, I didn't know what number. It was some crazy number. I was like, one thing.
He doesn't have a 513?
No, it was like it was like a Minnesota, which I was like, what is this? In my mind, bill collector. So I'm like, I don't really want to answer this. I answered it. I'm like, hello. He was like, Sean. I'm like, yeah, this is me. And then he told me. I just dropped my phone and just started crying. I was in the car. I was just about to go inside my house. And he was like, yeah, congratulations, man. It's well overdue. You definitely earned it. You deserve it. We just can't wait to see you September 20th. And then when I got off the phone with him, Coach Miller ended up texting me. Coach Cronin texted. Pretty much everyone that's really involved, they texted and was like, man, you deserve it. So, I mean, it's to see the journey from then till now, it's amazing. It's amazing.
You met Coach Miller for the first time yesterday.
Yes.
High energy, type A personality. What'd you think?
He's one thing about Coach, I mean, hell of a coach, but like I said, he's more of a better person. It's amazing to really be able to see how, for one, I didn't even know he was that young. He's, in terms of the coaching world, he's young. He's a young coach.
Only a few years older than you are.
Yeah, so I'm able to talk to him and speak to him or have a conversation with him as if I'm one of his players. But it's so when I was speaking to him yesterday, and to be able to see the what he's done since he's been here. I mean, with everything that's going on, transfer portals and all this other, he gets it done and he tries to make it happen for the city or for our university. That's something right there. Especially a guy who basically has been embedded with this university with me for 5+ years. That's what I would love to see, and that's what he's bringing. I mean, he's getting the best out of his players. His players is actually good people, good kids. So when you got a program like that and you got kids that want to buy in, coach, it's going to happen for you. Don't worry. Like, you're going to be good. And he wants to win. That's the best thing about him. Wants to win.
Tell us what keeps you busy now.
I train children. So the funny thing about that is it's like coaching, but like I'm doing a lot more individual work. But I think the funny part is when they see me and I'm going through the workouts with them, and they don't. Well, I think they do know. Like, I can still play. Like, it's just because I don't do it, I can still play. And then they come back the next day and be like, yo, we seen this on YouTube. That's crazy. Like, I'm like, I'm not that far out. I mean, I can still play.
YouTube is helpful.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank God for YouTube, because I mean they would be trying to get at me every day. So that's what I do now. I try to pour the game into them and really get the. I want them to always like remember. I mean, this basketball game is a short window, but if you continue to work hard and you work through whatever obstacles it is that you may have, I mean, you can be a star player on a team in terms of your high school and then go to college and be a 10th or 9th guy. But that doesn't mean that you stop working. Like, coach is still watching. Like, my practices were games, so who's to know? Your practices may be games too. You got to use those as your advantage and something that will help you.
Your oldest daughter is 12.
12.
Is she a basketball player?
No, she's a boxer. So
A boxer?
she loves boxing. Clarissa Shields is her girl. Yeah, so she's boxing. Then we have Scarlett. She's 6 years old. She's into cheerleading, and we don't know what Sage is gonna do yet. She's the tough one out of all of them, the youngest one. So we don't know yet.
All right. Should we discuss the first time we met?
Yeah, for sure. So everyone to know. Yep.
Yeah. So you were playing at Notre Dame Prep in Fitchburg, Mass. They had a tournament in Boston.
Yep.
And I wanted to go see you play, and UC was at UConn. So
Now, that's funny you said that, because that's news to me.
okay.
Wow, that's big time. They were playing UConn, and you drove up in a snowstorm to come.
Yes. So I get a car.
Wow.
I asked Mick and Hep if they wanted to go with me, but it was like the worst snowstorm ever.
Yes.
So I couldn't get anybody to go with me. So I swerved my way to this tiny gym.
Man.
I'm the only person there.
True.
And we met that day. It was
Yes.
awesome.
Yep, absolutely. That was my introduction to UC. I mean, when I like he said, it was a crazy snowstorm. Like,
I mean, you guys came on a bus from New York the day before, and your coach was
Yeah.
telling me it was like touch and go.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
So when you came in, when they hit me after the game and said, "Yo, we got somebody here that want to see you," I'm said, "Who's coming in this snowstorm? Who?" And not only that, I'm not expecting. We just lost. That was a game that we lost. I'm not really expecting to talk to nobody. I walk out, I see Dan, and then
This old bald guy waiting to meet you. Yeah.
and I'm like, let's go talk. So we end up speaking. That was probably one of, I mean, it still gives me chills to this day. That was, for one, the start of a bond. But most importantly, I think, to me as a player, it showed me how much, for one, you took your job. It's very serious. But how much you were following me, or you were basically trying to, like, now that I'm older, I see like how it is now pertaining to like with media or even with basketball. Like, if somebody is coming to see you play, that means they're interested in you, or they've either heard about you somehow, some way. For you to basically, now that I noticed, you drew from UConn all the way up, because I thought you just flew in through the airport and then drove your way there. To know that, man, that's crazy. But that was one, like I said, the introduction to me being here. And I mean, that stuck with, don't think it didn't stick with me in terms of my recruiting when I got there, because you were the only guy in terms of media who covered me that whole year. So,
hey, it was well worth the drive.
Yes.
I'm glad I survived.
Yes.
I'm glad we both survived that
For sure.
snowstorm, and yeah, it was the start of a great friendship.
Yes, and it was something that, I mean, you discovered in everyone else's eyes, greatness. So
No doubt.
Thank
No
you.
doubt.
I appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for all you meant to this university. I've said this many times, and I mean it. I'm not sure there's been a UC athlete, at least in the many years that I've been doing the games, that's been a better ambassador for UC than you during your playing career, during your professional career, and now to this day.
Yeah.
You have represented this university so well. We really owe you a great debt of gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dan.
All right, you got it.
Thank you for sure.
All
Thank
right,
you.
let's hear it for this guy,
Yes.
Sean Kilpatrick.
Thank you. Thanks for having my mom and my dad's here. They popped up. Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I think our second guest is here as
Yes.
well, if I'm not mistaken. Our next guest here at the Rheingeist Tap Room and Over the Rhine is the most exciting player in UC football history. He finished at the top 10 in the Heisman race. He was a first-team All-American. He still holds UC's all-time record for receiving yards, 4 kick return touchdowns. He is number 1. Let's hear it for Mardy Gilyard. Back in town to go into the UC Athletics Hall of Fame. Congratulations. How did you feel when you got that phone call?
It was, how can I say this? Can I be me? Can I be me?
Absolutely.
Okay. I just want to make sure, you know, I don't want to get in trouble for how I be me. But I was torn between 2 places. I've watched and again, I don't want to sound like I'm downing anybody or anything like that, but I watched the other inductees that went in before me, and I felt really disrespected. Because it's like, how do you not pay attention to the people's champ? You know, I gave my all, man, you know, to the city. I slept in my car, man, just to wear a CPAW, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So for me, it was a blessing. It was great for me to hear it. I cried, you know what I mean? Because it was so overwhelming for me. You know, when me and Sean was talking, and we just sit there, man, and just reminiscing about the good old days. I guess now they're the good old days, you know, and just talking about the greatness that nobody ever seen in us. You know, we didn't get too much credit when we were at school like that, you know. So, and no one pats you on your back when you're walking through campus, you know. No one tells you you're good like that when you're on campus, you know. More focused about going to class and stuff like that. But the feeling is like, it's a thank you, but it's also a long time coming. So I'm grateful beyond for me and my family, you know, because we sacrificed a lot. But I mean, I was blessed, man. I was extremely happy. You know, I won't be able to duplicate that feeling, you know, ever.
Do you feel the love?
Yeah, I do. I was on the plane over, and I was sitting next to a random guy, and he kind of kept looking at me, just kind of glanced, and then he finally built up enough nerve, and he said, "Hey, I don't mean to bother you," because I was holding my son. And he was like, "Hey, what's your name by chance?" And he said, "You look kind of familiar." I'm like, "My name's Mardy," you know. And he's like, "Wait a minute, Mardy Gilyard?" So when he says it, in my mind, I'm like, wow, you know, I didn't know people still remember me, you know what I'm saying? Because now all I hear is sauce this, sauce that, sauce this, sauce that. You know what I'm saying, right? And sauce, I hope you tuning in too now, you feel what I'm saying? For me, it shouldn't be another number one. For me, you better not talk about nobody else wearing Uno besides MG1. Because you don't run into guys no more, especially with the NIL. No one has any loyalty no more. No one means what they say anymore. Everybody can be bought. And I'm not that kind of guy. You know what I mean? For me, the things that I possess, the things that I've given to the city, the things that I've given to the school, you can't buy those, man. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't change none of that. School, being academically ineligible, sitting out a year, watching the guys play, watching them struggle without me. I just can't, man. You know what I'm saying? I bleed CPAWs. You know, so it's, yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So I was broadcasting the games during your playing days. You're from Florida, near Daytona Beach. I'm not sure I've ever really heard the story of how you wound up here.
Okay, so I got cheated by the rivals. You know, hate rivals, because they always cheat us out of stars. And
what were you, 2 stars?
I think they gave me 2.
Okay.
You know, I think it was 2 stars. But I was a hell of a running back, man, you know, coming out the state. And it's a crazy story because I'm getting recruited by everybody. I'm offered by pretty much everybody. I was like one of those sneaky guys that everybody, you know, recruited that didn't have a lot of press, you know. So I'm looking through, I had 2 dressers in my room, and I just had them all filled with offer letters, you know what I mean, and scholarship letters. And I walked in the room one day, and I tossed them all in the air. You know, I emptied everything out on my bed, 6 drawers, and I emptied them out on the bed, and I just grabbed 2 handfuls and threw everything in the air. Because at the time, I was doing so much, man. You know, at the time, fooling with gangs. At the time, skipping school. At the time, selling drugs. At the time, everything that nobody knows about Mardy, man. You know what I mean? I was good. I was a great guy. But I was just caught up in doing bad things, and I just made a decision. I just wanted to get away, you know. I thought Cal was too far, UCLA was too far, California was too far, Georgia was too close, you know, the Carolinas are too close, Tennessee's too close, you know. I didn't even know, I couldn't point Ohio out on the map. So that was one reason, that I couldn't point it out on the map. So I didn't even know where it was.
That was a positive.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right? So I go to my stepdad, God rest his soul, he's the man that raised me. And I said, Pop, you know where Cincinnati is? It used to be a trucker. And he says, yeah, but not directly, right? He goes to the store, this before Google Maps and all that good stuff. He goes to the store and he buys an atlas.
Huh.
And he, of course, if you know anything about an atlas, it starts that size and you fold it open and it ends up big as this table. And I'm looking at it and he draws up and maps up, you know, the way to go to Cincinnati. You know, we're going to get on this highway, get on that highway. You know, about 12 hours later, son, we'll be up there. And I'm like, okay. Well, Mark D'Antonio and Tim Hinton, I love Coach D, man. If it wasn't for Coach D, like, y'all wouldn't have no Mardy. You know what I mean? You know, like, Coach D was like my dad. You know, he held us accountable like a father does his kids, you know. You know, if you're a dad, you'll understand, like, we're the ones that crack the whip. We're not the famous ones in the house, but we're the first ones everyone run to. You know what I mean? So Coach D came to pretty much everything I was doing. Football practice, I look up. He's sitting right there, arms crossed, him and Coach Hinton. Coach Hinton gave me a nod, smile. You know, Coach D was always stern guy, no look on his face, and he's just like, stuck his hand out, shakes my hand, you know. Basketball practice comes around, and I look up, and they're right there in the stands again. I'm like, golly, y'all didn't miss no football. Y'all right back here for basketball, you know what I mean? And this particular day at practice, we were shooting free throws. And I missed one. And he goes, you might as well just dunk it, you know? And I looked at him like, dunk it? Come on, man. Like, I'm tired, you know? And Coach Hinton goes, can you toss it off the backboard and dunk it? And I'm standing at the free throw line, Sean. And I toss it off the glass, and I catch it and I dunk it, you know? And Coach D goes, nice. We'll see you later. Have a good one. And just left with no look on his face. I'm like, bro,
What's up?
What's going on? You know, you done asked me to toss it off the backboard. I tossed it off the backboard, and I dunked it for you. Like, what's up? You know. And that next day, Ron Zook was the coach at Florida, and we're a big Gator family. And he comes in and he hands me my scholarship paper, hand delivered, and I'm just smiling. I don't even know what to do at this point because it's Florida. You know, I've wanted to go here since I was a kid. You know, and track season rolls around. You know, coach don't say anything. That whole time he goes mute. Track season comes around. I'm literally at the high jump mat. And I look over the fence, and there they go. D'Antonio and Hinton. They're right there, you know. And Coach Hinton goes, I don't think you can jump it. And Coach D goes, let's see something, Marty. Let me see what you can do. Kind of the same thing you did in basketball. But it was something burning deep down inside of me. I wanted to prove him wrong, you know. And I was jumping 6'8", and I went and cleared it, and I looked over at him, and again, same thing, you know, just face like, you know, and he leaves. I'm like, man, what's up with this guy? You know what I'm saying? So now we got football. He's come, he's watched, he's, hey, bye. Basketball, hey, bye. Track, hey, bye. You know, AAU basketball, I don't even know how he got this schedule. AAU basketball, we're in Orlando playing nationals, and I look over, and I hear somebody say, hey, Marty. Well, Marshawn, I'm sorry. He called me by my whole name. Like, hey, Marshawn, and I look, I'll be down, it's Tim Hinton, all over again. And Coach D standing right next to him. And they're like, you played a decent game, you know? Hopefully see you soon. But that's what Tim said. Now, Coach D goes, Tim, we will see him soon. And that right there was like a big ding in my head, you know? Because after I got the letter from Coach Zook from Florida, I didn't get no more anything from Florida. And then they come back in. Again, ironically, I skipped school. And the day I skipped school, I organized the senior skip day. And he comes in. It's senior skip day, man. Raise your hand if you ever skipped senior skip day.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Everybody
saying?
here took part in
you know,
senior skip day.
Ain't no problem. I mean, it's a problem, but it ain't no problem. You know, it's a senior skip day, man. You know? And Ron Zook comes in, and I'm not in school. And the lady at the front desk, she really despised me, you know? And the first thing she says is, he ain't here. If you coming in here to see Marshawn, he is not here. That boy don't never come. And I'm like, golly, like I was just in school all week, you know? And she threw me under the bus, and that day, you know, he walks to the football office, and he tells our head coach, Mardy Gilyard is not our type of athlete. And
Their loss.
And we're going to take this scholarship away. And when they did that, you know, I looked back, went right back into the room, and the letter from Cincinnati was sitting right on my dresser, and I made the decision right there. I said, you know what, Mom, Pop, you know, my brothers were over there. I was like, I'm going to go to Cincinnati. They was like, why? I like, because I don't know where it's at. But they want me. You know, they want me. Like, they wanted all of me, all the rumors, you know, the jail time, the arrest. They was like, can you guarantee me that you are a changed man? And I was like, I can't guarantee you that. But I can guarantee you that I'm going to give you everything I got. You know, and Coach D says, you better. Because we wasted a lot of money coming down here.
They didn't waste anything because it worked.
You know, and I got there, and it was like, man, that 2005 class, the best. Let me where the camera at. The best class to ever come through University of Cincinnati as a football class. We were special. All the love that we see from the Orange Bowls and the Sugar Bowls and all those things, those were built off of that 05 class. You know, all that winning, that came from the 05 class. You know, We were the ones that led everybody else. We were the ones that made the plays. We were the ones that held the accountability up high. Because it was a party every day in practice, man. Like, even when we wasn't that good, we knew we were going to be good. You know, we knew we were going to be good. We just had all the pieces. All of us were just young. We didn't know how to play it yet.
So let me give some of the names. So we're talking Connor Barwin, Mike Mickens, Dominic Goodman, Terrell Bird.
Yes, sir.
That's quite a crew, and
yes,
I'm sure
sir.
I'm missing a few, yep.
And Terrell Bird, he's the guy that, one, he's my brother. You know, that whole class, we're all brothers. But Bird, it's a few other guys from that class. You know, I'm just going to stick with Bird because Bird was so significant. Again, without Terrell Bird, you wouldn't have Mardy sitting here. That year when I was ineligible, you know, everybody knows the story. You know, I slept in my car. I was homeless for about 6.5, 7 months, you know, give or take. The last 2 of that, Bird comes to me and I'm working 4 jobs, you know. I used to come from my construction job in the summertime and go on the field, and Dustin Grutzer would throw, and Dominic Goodman and Marcus Barnett. Those 2 of my brothers as well. They taught me how to run routes. You know, I didn't know. You know, Coach Kelly gave me my scholarship back, and, you know, I paid for my bill. Funny story. Paid for my bill, literally cash.
And it was like 10 grand, right?
10 grand. I pulled it from a stocking cap off. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only way I knew security. I mean, that's the only thing I knew. I didn't know nothing about. We were scared of banks where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you put your money under the mattress. You know what I mean? Old school stuff, you know? And I remember pulling it out, paying it, going back to Coach Kelly saying, hey, I got it done. And he looked at me, and I remember the financial office saying, it was a lady, I can't remember her name, but she comes back and she tells him, I don't even know where he got the money from, but he just pulls this stocking cap from in his pants.
With $10,000 in it.
And it was $10,000 cash. He just counted it out right there in front of me, and I just smiled. Because for me, I just wanted to play ball, man. You know, he told me, you know, the good thing about Coach Kelly was he held me accountable. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand him to this day.
Because he left?
No.
Because of the way he left?
The way he lied to me. And when you lie to the captain, I have to go tell this lie now to 100 kids. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not that kind of guy. You know, you can ask any of my teammates, hell, any of my classmates, you know, that didn't, you know, they'll tell you like, hey, if it's right with Mardy. If it's wrong with Mardy. That's just how I always been.
There's no gray. It's black and white.
Ain't no gray area for me. You don't have to lie to me to make yourself seem you're bigger or better or anything like that, man. I'm gonna like you off of you being you. You know what I'm saying? That means you ain't gotta lie every day to be this whole super person that you done bought yourself up to be or none of that. But that man looked at me in my eyes, you know, and told me, huh, I remember this like it was yesterday. He literally goes, huh, leave? Come on now. This is blasted all over ESPN. I'm asking them to be respectful. Like, hey, man, come on, coach, tell me the truth. Like, what's up? And
how close is that before the announcement came out that he was leaving?
Yeah, just about.
Same day.
It was same day. Yeah, it was same day. So the difference between Mark D'Antonio and Brian Kelly, because I have to answer this question a lot. Mark D'Antonio, when he left, he called us all in a room, right? Our team meeting room. And when we got in there, it was press everywhere, you know? And he says, hey, you know, Coach D didn't play. Hey, everyone with a camera, everyone with a pencil, everyone with a notepad, get your ass out. And he kicked everyone out, literally out the entire building, entire Lender Center, they got kicked out. And they couldn't come back in until he was done. And he sat there in front of us, and the first thing he did was Coach D took a deep breath. And that's when I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what, but I knew something was wrong. I'm sitting front row, and he just starts crying. And so Coach D's hysterically crying in front of us, a man that never showed no emotion, a man that never showed himself being upset. He never got too happy, but now he crying. This is emotion we never seen before, you know? He's boo-hoo crying, and he says, guys, you might not understand this now, But as a father, you're going to have to make decisions that no one else is going to understand. But it's for the betterment of your family, you know? And that right there stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? He was truthful. He called our moms. You know, this man, D'Antonio, called our moms. Every kid that he recruited, he called their parents and was like, you know, I'm sorry that I couldn't finish what I told you I was going to do. But I had to do something for my family. And my mom, in particular, she was like, I understand. You know what I mean? And for that alone, he set the bar for us, right? Then you have Coach Kelly, and I lost all respect. As soon as he said, we got in that room, and press is everywhere, and he tells the press, or he tells everyone in the room, as you know, I'm going to Notre Dame. And I turned out immediately. I didn't even want to hear the rest of the speech. I turned out immediately, and I walked out. And of course, I walked out into all the cameras and everything, and they're like, you know, what's going on, Mardy? How do you feel about Coach Kelly going? And that's when I put the whole, and I might have been the first college athlete to do this, is to separate and draw the line between football and business. You know, the football and the business thing, like Coach Kelly took business over football, you know. But for him to tell us like that, you know, we had guys that were extremely pissed, including myself. And I spoke on it, you know, I just, hey man, it sucks that this man goes from recruiting, sitting on a parent's couch, telling the parents whatever they want to hear for them to just sit there and tell their kid, hey, I trust this guy. You know, you're a parent,
I am.
right? I'm a parent, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure we got parents in the room, you know. How would you feel, man, if somebody came and sat on your couch, you invited them into your home, you gave them nice hospitality, something to drink maybe, something to eat maybe, you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden you're trusting them with your child. And your child calls you hysterically and is like, mama, this man lied. You know, because that's how I was. I was upset. Not that he left. I don't care less. Bye. You know what I mean? But don't lie, bro. You know, he lied, and that crushed me because I had just started to trust him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that was the deciding factor. But Coach Kelly gets the credit that he shouldn't get. And I'll make sure this is on camera. Charlie Monar was the brains behind everything that we did. Charlie Monar was the one that got us with the 100-play practices. Charlie Monar was the one that had our offense as fast as it was and as efficient as it was. That was all Charlie Monar. You know, if you go back, and you guys do this, you know, go back and look at some old game film. It don't even have to be that much of the game. Look, and when they zoom in on Coach Kelly's face, he'll go like this and he'll say, Charlie, what do you want? You know what I'm saying? And he never, ever gave that man credit for nothing, man. You know, and for him to have a pedestal like that and not give your staff no credit, you know, Coach Elston, my special teams coach, you know, everybody knows me about taking the kicks back. That's Coach Elston's, you know, that's Coach Elston, but you never hear about Coach Elston. You know, I didn't make this shit up I didn't draw the play up out of the ground, you know what I mean? I didn't do that. Coach just said that the hole is going to hit here. Mardy, however you're going to set it up, but when you hit it, you got to hit it. And if you look at all my returns, you'll see me stem, you'll see me stick, and then you'll see me run full speed blindly into a hole. Hit me or not. It's your choice, but you better wrap up. You know, so Charlie Monar, I wanted to make sure he got his credit. You know, I wanted to make sure everybody knew the truth behind Kelly, just in case they didn't. You know, for me, it was, again, it's all about the truth, morals and standards. You know, it's the principalities about that whole deal. So, yeah.
I want to talk about some moments that I'm sure these people remember and brings a smile to their face, beginning with a play that didn't count. You make a catch in the end zone at Nippert Stadium, your foot's out of bounds, you go crashing into the stands, you go barreling into a 7-year-old kid named Garrett Monroe.
Yeah.
You take off your helmet,
Yeah.
you get down on a knee, you pick him up, you hug him
Yeah.
for a long time
Yeah.
to make sure he's okay. Can you visualize that when
Yeah.
you close your eyes right now?
I remember that like it was yesterday, right? It was choice. That was the call. And we had a conversion that if the corner would sit or stop his feet, I would run past him. And I did that. I think Pike got pressured a little bit, and he had to throw on the run a little. And I caught the ball. And if anybody's been in Nippert, before the renovations, we have the 4th oldest stadium in college football. So the wall is extra close
there
to the field, So I remember trying to catch the ball, trying to make everything happen. And then the wall comes super fast. Super fast. And I went to jump over it. Like I tried to jump over the wall and try to just land on my feet. You know what I mean? Just kind of safe landing. But I got clipped by the wall. When you see it, you see me get clipped, right around my calf area. Right. And I head first into the kid. And I'm the cool uncle at that time. I'm the cool uncle. My brother's got nieces and nephews, man. You know what I'm saying? I got, everything that you get, you know what I mean? So I'm the cool uncle. And when I hit him, I heard him go, ugh. And I immediately came out of everything because when you see us in football helmets, we look like, something else. You know what I'm saying? We're just like these gladiators, these superhumans that you see and you praise on the field, but we're human, man. I'm human. You know what I mean? I know it hurt when I hit him. I'm full speed. But my reaction was just to grab him and pick him up because I knew he was scared. He was already crying. So I picked him up and I whispered in his ear, "Are you okay?" And he goes, yes, I'm fine, I'm okay. And then he hugs me extra tight. And for me, again, we're all parents. Like that tight hug from a child, that's the security hug. You know what I mean? They feel safe in your arms, they feel secure. So I held him tight, man. Just like I'm his uncle. I said, hey, you got an uncle right here. Everything's fine, you okay. And then he looks at his mom, and his mom, what made him freak out even more, if you guys look at the clip, he looks back halfway through the hug, and his mom's like, oh my God. And he starts crying again. Ah! And I handed him back to his mom, and, we went back in. But, yeah, man, that was just me being me. It wasn't for, I didn't care less if the cameras were there, if anybody was taking pictures or anything like that. That's just Mardy, man. I'm full of love. I'm just want to make sure everybody's comfortable, man, especially if you're around me. You know what I mean? And at that present moment, it was just my instinct to just grab him and make him feel safe, because he went through something traumatizing. Who gets hit full speed with a helmet with no pads and you're a little kid, So I just wanted them to feel safe.
First game that comes to mind for any UC football fan is the Pitt game. And Pike to Benz, the game-winning play, never happens if not for all the things you did leading up to it, most notably the kick return touchdown with about a minute to go in the second quarter. You're down by 21 points. Were you surprised they kept kicking it to you?
No, because they were a cocky bunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Coach Weinstadt, shout out to him. He's a great coach, man. That game, them continuously to kick it to me, showed where they actually thought that I wasn't a threat. They actually thought that I guess it was a fluke or something at that point. But, Coach Elston kept telling me, man, you're going to pop it. The field was terrible in between the hashes. A lot of people don't know this about Heinz Field. Heinz Field gets resodded, in between the hashes. And so we're running pregame and we're slipping all over the place trying to figure out why. And I remember, Bob Mangine saying, hey, you guys, make sure you have studded cleats. Don't wear your molds out here, right? And second quarter comes, and I've been slipping all over. And Bob goes, hey, I got your studs for you. You know what I mean? And at the time, I had a new cleat that just came out by Adidas. It was called the F50. And the F50 was a soccer shoe that you could take the whole bottom of the shoe out, like an insole. And it had the studs attached to it. And so I switched into my studs, and I got the team together on the sideline, and I said, look, man, one of us got to make a play. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to make a damn play. You know what I mean? But I tell y'all what, I'm going to make the damn play. You know what I mean? I'm going to make the play. Y'all just follow me. Follow suit, because we're not playing like we play. I'm going to make the play. Y'all just follow me. You know what I'm saying? And they kicked it, and it was like slow motion, man. I'm coming back, and I'm seeing the ball in the air, and I peeked, and I noticed that they wasn't coming down as hard and as fast. So I'm like, oh, it's over. Because the hole's been there. The same hole I hit and scored on, that hole's been there all game. The whole game. I just couldn't get there because I was slipping. So finally, I'm gripping, I'm running, and what was his name? It was D. Jones. He was a quarterback for us that had transferred over. He was number 2.
Demetrius. Yep.
So Demetrius comes out of nowhere and just smashes somebody. Wham! And that's what cleared the hole. And I put my foot in the ground, and I hit it, and I seen someone else flash after the first 2 steps. I cut off them, and I always told our guys that the field is 95 yards. So I said, bro, if y'all just block, just get me a hole so I can get up on the kicker. He ain't going to make the play. You know, I'm outrunning everybody. Just let me get to the 5. You know, I get to the 5, I'm diving. So the field's only 95 yards, you know. And it parted like the Red Sea, man. And I hit it, and we got back out, and it was a little snowy that day too as well. And for me, I've never played in the snow before, of course, so I'm getting it, and I finally get in the end zone, and I got to the sideline. When I got to the sideline, that's when I really turned up. Y'all come on, let's go. You know, come on, y'all, let's get it done. Like, let's go. I told y'all I was gonna make a play. Y'all follow. You know, and our defense, it was the look that they gave because Dion Lewis was killing us, man. That run game was just pew, 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 pew. It was like
47 carries.
They kept. I would give it to him too if he was running like that. You know what I mean? And just kept telling the D, y'all stay with it, bro. Just get us the ball back. Just get us the ball back. Because the one thing about Pitt, they were solid everywhere but the safety position. They had a freshman in. You know, I had a freshman, number 18. And if you remember the 2-point conversion that I made, it was on 18. You know, and that's where the whole hand flash from Pike comes from, is if 18 rolls over here, we knew that we were naked backside. And we're going to take that matchup any day of the week. You know, and that's where the Pike the Bends came from, right? And we get in the locker room at halftime, and I remember me taking all the Gatorade, and I poured all the around. Vroom, vroom, through everybody, anybody that was drinking Gatorade, anybody that was drinking water, anything hydration-wise. I took it, snatched it, around like no, and no, and no.
Nobody was allowed to drink anything?
Hell no. No, you can't have no drink.
They hadn't earned it?
Hell no, you didn't earn it. Hell, I ain't drank no water. You know what I'm saying? So if you didn't deserve no water because we wasn't playing like we usually play. You know what I mean? So how can you say that you're tired? That was my whole mind frame. You can't tell me that you're tired and we're not playing Bearcat football. The way we play Bearcat football, the ball's hiked within 6 seconds of the referee putting the ball down. So that's why we averaging, 65, 70 plays a game, and we wasn't a big physical bunch, but we just ran you in the dirt. You know what I mean? So everyone's looking. There was no fights. You know what I mean? Everyone's looking up at me like, okay, what now? You know, and I remember talking to the guys, giving them their little speech, and Coach Kelly, by the time he came in, his work was done. He didn't have to do nothing. You know what I mean? He just came in and talked about a couple adjustments that we already knew. I literally hit all this for the offense, you know what I mean, and sat down with Pike, and we just kind of talked over adjustments, and we were good. Coach Monar comes in, and, man, after Moley comes in, man, it's like he knows so much about football. You know what I mean? I didn't even think in my life that I would meet someone that knew so much. Like, this guy had probably 200 cover 2 beaters. 200 cover 3 beaters, cover 4 beaters. You know, anything that we got faced with, he had a play. You know what I mean? And he comes, he does his thing, and, we come out at halftime, and it was just a different set of guys. We got in the attitude that we will bend, but we won't break. In the first half, we were broke, man. You know what I mean? We were just a broken set of guys that we got guys arguing. We got guys pointing the finger. We got guys talking about coaches. We got guys on the phone, on the sideline phone, talking cash to their coaches. Like, I don't even know why you called this play, this, that, and that. They called it because it was open. We're just not executing at that point. Like I said, man, we came out, finished the game out strong, and it's a historical game. I actually use this with my kids. When it looks bad, it's not bad. You know what I mean? And when it looks good, it damn sure ain't good either, And I play the game. You know, I showed them the score. And they're like, Coach, oh, yeah, y'all won?
So when you say kids, not your children, but the kids you're coaching now as a high school coach.
Yeah, so the kids I'm coaching as a high school coach and the kids that I train with my company, shout out to MG1. You know, so I use the Pitt story to get the kids to understand. One, you have to think outside the box. Two, you have to use your imagination, man. When we're down that much, you got to really imagine something, you know, because if you look at the score, man, it's all bad. You know what I mean? And you look at our defense, and they were getting ran over. You know, offense, we stumbled a little bit in the beginning, so it's like everybody on all cylinders we wasn't firing. But now the kids, they believe it. You know, thanks to YouTube, now they see it. You know, and I have kids that come back periodically at practice, and they're like, Coach, dude, I was looking at your YouTube. You know, and Sauce went to your school? You know, Sauce went to your school? You know, and it's like, do I get tired of hearing Sauce comparison? Hell, yes. You know, just because both of us were number one. But it gets the kids to understand that, hey, man, everything is not going to be digitally provided for you. You actually got to think outside of the box and work for what you want. And that's the message. You know, we use that from the Pitt game.
Let's wrap up with a couple of things. You were drafted by the Rams, had some time in the NFL with St. Louis and a couple of other teams. I'm sure it didn't work out the way you hoped. What happened?
Did I make plays? For sure, yeah. I made a lot of plays, man. Kansas City, I loved the time there. Dwayne Bowe was a great veteran for me. You know, the guy, man, come on, man. The guy handed me keys to his Bentley. You know, like, hey, man, I see you was in a rental. You know what I mean? Like, put your rental up. You know what I'm saying? Here's the keys to my Bentley. Like, come on, like, man, like, here's the keys to my Bentley, bro. Do your thing. You know what I mean? And I'm like, bro, you barely know me. You know? He's like, but, bro, you're helping me with the offense. You know what I'm saying? In Philly, same scenario. You know, I'm in Philly with a couple guys that I went to school with, and we're making plays. We're having fun every day, man. And, you know, to be cut by Big Red and bought back by Big Red was like, Big Red's the best coach I've, you know. Him and D'Antonio, they're like, you know what I mean? They're right there together, man.
So that's Andy Reid in Philly.
Yes, yeah. yes. Man, Big Red was a guy that treated you like you was his son. And if you needed anything, he would make it happen. Like if you wanted let's just say you wanted something like smothered chicken and gravy, right? And they don't have it nowhere. I guarantee you that next Friday, on Fat Boy Friday, you were gonna have that smothered chicken, you know what I'm saying? One of the chefs in there were gonna have that smothered chicken sitting off to the side for you. And that's what something that kind of differentiated from all the other coaches is he was a coach that actually listened, opposed to just told you what you were doing. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Andy Reid teams are so successful, man. Like if they have a bad year, they're like, oh my God, not under Andy Reid's watch. You know what I mean? Because the players, and you see them, they're so excited to make a play for this man. You know, and that's how it was. So for me, could it have been better? I mean, probably. Yeah. Would I change anything? Hell no. You know what I mean? Everything happens for a reason. You know, God put you in position for a reason. I went from being there. You got to think I'm the only person that got drafted from where I'm from. You know, so me going to the NFL was enough. You know, I have a video from 1992. You know what I mean? Family reunion. And my aunt has the camera. She's like, me and my cousin Dion, we call him King Crab. So me and Crab was standing next to each other, you know, probably this tall, you know what I mean? And my aunt goes, Mardy, what you want to be when you grow up? And at the top of my lungs, jumping up and down, I was like, a football player. I'm going to NFL. You know, I'm going to the NFL. I didn't want to be no all-pro. I didn't know. I just wanted to be in a position to do something nobody else have done. So, like, that bar was set. You know what I mean? And I set that bar high. You know what I mean? And now all the kids where I'm from, you know, they're like, I want to go be like Mardy, or I want to be better than Mardy. That's enough for me, man. You know what I mean? Now, I'll come back if Cincy offer me a job, I'll come back. You know what I'm saying? If Cincy offer me a job, I'll come back. Y'all heard it now. Y'all heard it. No, y'all, I'll come back. I'll come back home. You know what I mean? Because one of the reasons I left home was to make sure I established myself as a good father for my kids so they wouldn't have to need anything, you know. And I had to leave away from a place that I did not want to, you know. I really, really miss the city, man, you know, and everything about it. I miss campus. I miss the people. I miss the love, you know what I mean? I'd never been loved like this before, you know. I'm a kid from out of nowhere, you know what I mean? And for the fans and just the people in the city, man, to just, hey, we love you. You know, from all the people that's bad to all the people that's great. You know what I mean? All those people were like, hey, man, we love you. Again, it's the love that you get from our fans, student section. You can't duplicate that. That right there alone was enough. Again, you know, it was enough for me. And I can't say this enough, man. Cincinnati, I've missed y'all so much. You know, just so much, man. Y'all, I can't put it in words. Y'all can't imagine how the people champ feel about y'all. You know what I mean? Dave, I mean, I got into everything, man. I mean, kids with me for Halloween. You know what I'm saying? You can't duplicate that, man. Like, and especially now with the NIL, it ain't gonna be another Mardy to come through here with that type of loyalty, with that type of dedication, with just that type of want to start and finish in the same spot. You know what I mean? That's the big thing for me, you know, being able to finish where I started at. That was in a nutshell, yeah.
We're thrilled to have you back. We're thrilled that you're going into the UC Athletics Hall of Fame. We appreciate all of the memories that you gave us as a Bearcat. Thank you so much, and thanks for your time tonight.
No, I appreciate you.